Hello and welcome. My name is Tara, and this was quite a last minute addition, as I just felt called to actually share more about the Celtic trees and immersions and what that really is. And as you can see, I'm outside, so there might be a bit of wind, or there might be lighting as the sun is out here, but I just felt it was nice to share the connection with nature with you rather than be indoors today. And just while we're waiting for folks to join, just getting yourself settled in, just take this time just for yourself. Welcome yourself in here to the space. So I'll share a little about my background. Gosh, where to begin is always a question when that comes up. I'm at a point now where I feel that I'm bringing a lot of threads in together. And this has been waiting for quite some time to share more on the Celtic Tree Wisdom with native plants. I've been sharing over the years in person, but now I feel time to share online. And I have previously been sharing, and some of you may know, from the Cacao Level 1, Cacao Practitioner courses. But I feel now is a time to really focus in on the wisdom that is carried in the trees that we have in the Celtic lands and across Europe and North America in particular, and some of them are in South America as well. I believe hawthorn is in South America. And for instance, yew is known all over the world. And today we'll focus particularly on oak as well. And I'll share a little bit about why we'll focus in on oak, particularly at this time. My background is that I was born in Ireland, and I've also lived in Scotland, and I have Scottish and Irish heritage. And since a very young age, I find it very easy to connect with plants and animals and communicate them in a way that's very natural, that's very heart-based. And I find it, quite frankly, easier than humans because there wasn't any language involved. So my mother tongue is actually Irish, and I'm reclaiming that slowly over time, which is a whole story in itself. But my first language is English. Plants don't really speak any of those languages. In fact, they speak more through frequency and through resonance, although we may be able to interpret that in our own language. It's very much a more direct, I find, when we're able to empty out enough to listen and to hear and to see and to sense what is being shared with us. And so I have traveled through to Brazil, to Central America, to Guatemala, to Mexico in particular, to connect with cacao. Brazil and Peru were to connect with South American plants. And particularly in Peru, I spent quite a bit of time in dieta, which is a traditional way that the maestras and the maestros, the curanderos would learn directly from the plants. So they would spend a lot of time in silence, in isolation, where they would only really be communing with the plants, and then they would have a maestro or maestra to check in on them and to share with them some guidance along the way, because they will have already developed a relationship with that plant. And it's a very intensive experience, and so it's very helpful to have a guide in that, as well as somebody to administrate the medicine. There's certain medicines, like ayahuasca, like tobacco in South America, that are also bridges that open up to the plant world, to the plant kingdom. There are bridges here as well in the Celtic lands. One of them I find is hawthorn, and another is oak in particular, that tend to speak to the other trees and the other plants more directly, and I'll speak of that a little bit more later. In the dieta, we also had a very restricted diet as well, so that basically our physical body was cleansed and was left more open to receive the transmissions and to receive the healing, to receive the teachings directly from the plants. Some of you may be aware of dietas. Some of you may be aware that there's online dietas available. And I have actually gone into dietas with certain native plants as well, Celtic plants, and trees as well. And one in particular is oak. And that's what I wanted to share with you particularly today. I was very, very, very grateful to have actually been able to immerse myself in a dieta with oak last year, and tobacco with Mirav and Jason in Ireland. So in my home soil with oak. So essentially I went directly into the Druidic wisdom. The oak is revered with the Druids and the ancient wisdom that they carried with the trees. And I actually went so far, I went into actually the blueprint before everything that happened in Ireland with the colonization and the deforestation as well, because our strength was found with the oak, our wisdom and our knowledge was with the oak. As well as the 20 trees in particular, the sacred trees of the Om. So the Om is the sacred language of the trees, and the Irish language is actually based upon the Om. So it could be seen as an alphabet, but also I see it as the beginning of the original language. And it really is, for me, a doorway also. So I have learnt through the South American traditions with ikaros, which are the healing songs of the plants. But I've also been more guided with the Celtic plants and trees in communing with them to come into working with the Om as a chant, or in Irish it would be the guch. The gucha is like the Sanskrit mantra, and so this has been brought in, and it's a very, very powerful gateway to bring in the healing and the teachings, and bring in the spirit of that plant, of that tree. So every tree is seen as having a being. So what we're speaking of here is inter-being communication. And so we're going beyond a human and a tree, or human and a plant, and human and an animal, but being to being. And this is very powerful because it brings us into our more than human aspect, and able to connect with the essence of the being in that tree or in that plant, with the essence of that is within us. And the way that I connect and the way that I share with others as well is not so much about honoring the traditions that were before. Yes, it is very much in deep reverence to the indigenous wisdom and the ancient wisdom that is held within the land, that is held within the trees and the plants. But we're in a new time, and the frequencies on this planet are increasing rapidly. The amount of solar flares, solar activity that's going on, what's affecting the Schumann resonance here, the electromagnetic field here on the Earth is changing rapidly. And so some people are finding that they have various symptoms with that, such as sometimes feeling more ungrounded, dizzy, tired, headachy, dream time becoming much more potent. They're much more aware that the veil between the seen and the unseen is now very thin, if not non-existent. And so people are finding that their level of consciousness is increasing, and they're also able to connect with these other beings in a way that they weren't before. And so I see my role as a bridge between the two. So a bridge between the human realm, the more than human, and the plants, the land, the trees, and the high frequency beings that are on this earth. And so a really core aspect of what is shared is through meditation. And this was really the most natural way of connecting with the plants and the trees, was actually to sit with them and to meditate with them. And I find it's a core thread through my work over the years has been the meditation, because it allows us to come into our ground, into our center. It allows us to empty the mind and to balance our nervous system and our electromagnetic field, so we're a more open and receptive place to actually connect. Number one, connect with source within us, and then also connect with source through these plants and through these trees. And one of the most direct is the oak. So like in South America, tobacco is the absolute king of the jungle. And so he is the master, and he communicates with all of the other plants and all of the other trees in that kingdom. And so what he says goes, and he is also the medicine of truth, as is oak. So oak is our king of the forest, and oak also resides over the rest of the tree and the plant kingdom. And even if you look at oak itself, and you look at oak within the ecosystem, oak provides so much, not only shelter, but food for the ecosystem as well, with its leaves, with the acorns. Every part of the oak has medicine. Every part of the oak is actually technically edible. So we can use oak bark, for instance, for tea and for plant baths as well. And the reason that I'm sharing more in immersions allows a period of time to dedicate to opening up into communion with a particular tree or a particular plant. And this takes time, and this takes emptying out. But in the modern world, it's maybe not so practical as well as advisable to go into dieta when we're interacting with the world, when we're using technology a lot, when we're interacting with other people, we're opening up our energetic body in a way that's very, very refined. It's not for everybody. And also, like I say, it's not particularly practical. So working within the process of an immersion is working with meditation, is working with possibly ingesting some of the medicine, whether it's with flower essences, whether it's through tea, whether it's through a juice that has been made, whether it's through tincture. There's many, many ways that it can be ingested. And that is helpful, but it's not essential. So for those that may be in an area where the Celtic plants and native plants aren't around them, or they can't access a good quality supply. It's not actually necessary through this direct medium of meditation and through the way that I'm sharing, which is on a quantum level. So it's sharing through the multi-dimensional. It's sharing through the plant spirit itself with you, and so that you actually connect directly. And so it's helpful to ingest. It's helpful to go and meet with a tree locally. That's all wonderful, but actually the most direct is through this way, through the meditation and through the quantum field of that particular being. This is a very new way that I'm exploring as well, and it's been a way that I've been working for some time, with calling these plants in and trees in this way. That's the first time I've been sharing these immersions online, and the feedback that I'm receiving is very, very profound about not only the impact on each individual and what they're experiencing and the healing that they're receiving, as well as the teachings, but also how that's impacting around them as well, people around them. So that is always my intention in anything that I'm sharing, that it's a benefit for all beings. And so with that said, I'd like to actually share a meditation with the oak, so you get a sense of what that feels like to connect with a Celtic tree spirit and with this way of meditation and on the quantum level, so that you can experience directly yourself. If there are any questions that I see there, I will answer questions at the end. And I just want to make sure that I'm speaking directly for now. So just find yourself in a comfortable position and have your spine straight, but not rigid. And we'll share this meditation for 15-20 minutes or so. And firstly, gathering yourself in. Just feeling where you are, where you're sitting. Feeling your seat connecting in to the earth. Feeling the flesh soften around the bones, particularly around the jaw, shoulders. Feeling the support of your spine holding you. There's no sense that you're holding yourself up rigidly, but you're actually relaxing back into the spine, like you would be relaxing into a tree trunk. And taking a few breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, just to release any charge that might be in the nervous system. Bringing your focus, your awareness into the body. And into your center. And just let any sounds or any noise in the mind just pass. It's absolutely fine. There's no need to tend to it. Relax into yourself. Feeling from the center through the whole body. Source connection. And welcoming in the oak that brings us back into the heart, into our center, into our core. Giving us the courage to stay in the heart, stay in our center. The strength to stand in our light, like the light of the sun shining from within us. The deep, deep roots into the earth. Bringing us the nourishment, the support that we need. So connecting your roots with the roots of the oak, deep into the earth. Through the soil, through the mycelium, to this web of interconnectivity across the lands, across this planet, and right here and now, where you're sitting deep into the earth. Feel the strength of these roots. You're rooted and centered. Bringing you the stability to expand and reaching through the pure mind the universal consciousness. Allow that light to allow that consciousness, like the sun shining upon you, to come in through the crown. Like the crown of the oak. Sheltering you. Connecting back into the center. Do da da da. 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 Do da da. Do da da. Do da 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 da da. to this pillar of light from your crown, down the central column, down the spine, through the heart, into the earth, through your root, connecting the upper, the middle, and the lower. This pillar of strength. The pillar of light. Pillar of truth. And the courage to stay right here. No matter what winds of change in life, no matter what feelings or emotions may rise, no matter what conditioning or patterns that come through the mind, that this remains. Illuminating wisdom. And just in these last moments, gathering in to the heart once again, into the center. And feeling this loving presence for your whole body, for your whole being. And if it feels good for you, you can bring your hands into prayer in front of the heart, bowing the head to the heart, and the heart to the ground. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Take your time. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can take a bit of time with your eyes closed if you need to. And what's always come very strongly, and was very strong in particular, that came during my dieta with oak, was this connection to the true masculine. And I feel it's something that's so essential at this time, And this is not by any way an exclusion of the feminine, not at all. Just like when we're actually honouring the true feminine, it is not an exclusion of the masculine either. They're both very much together. But in our culture, there's very few role models of the true masculine, in human form at least. And a lot of people have been seeking that, they've been seeking the connection to the Father within them. And that sense of holding, that sense of protection, that light, that pillar of strength. Like the mountain that is unmoving. And that's what oak brings. And so I have found a very direct teacher through oak of the true masculine and the Father within. And also I like to refer to my inner masculine as my inner bloke or my inner oak. And it keeps me right and keeps me standing through the storms, and whether they're inner storms or outer storms, that is there. And I feel for the feminine within us, which is also rising on the planet, to truly come in to being, is with the masculine holding. And so both are really, really needed. And that also comes into the connection with the three worlds that oak connects us to. So oak, deur, dar, doorway, is a doorway to the other world, is a doorway to the upper, the middle and the lower worlds. The upper being the mind, being the higher consciousness, the middle being the heart and being this physical realm that we're interacting with, and the lower being the body and also our unconscious. And it's really essential that we bring these three areas into alignment so that our roots are as deep as our branches reach the sky. So in a lot of ways in this modern world that we're in, a lot of the energy is from the heart up or from just purely in the head. And it really needs to come down into the heart and then into the whole body for us to come fully incarnate as a soul, as a being that we are. And I feel that oak really carries that strongly, the ability to hold ourselves in those three spheres, in our centre as that pillar. And that we don't get too stuck in the underworld, or we get stuck in the upper world, or stuck in the middle world, that we find our way to balance. And the true balance is actually in what we call quadrality, so that would be in the vertical as well as the horizontal levels. So there's a lot of imbalances that can happen, whether some people have been too much in the head, or too much in the heart, or too much in the body. And so oak can help us to come into alignment. And a lot of what people find that actually can be, shall we say, a challenge or an obstacle to their development in these three spheres and their incarnation is actually meeting with the emotions, meeting with the feelings that are in this body. And oak was known to support people in that, and support them also through releasing any pain that they may carry, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. That oak was strong enough to take it, and we could actually offer up our pain, offer up our suffering to oak. And I have very, very direct experience of that, where I've maybe found that it's too much, especially as a child, but also as an adult, where there was too much for some humans to manage. It was a level of emotionality or a level of pain, whether it was physical, chronic pain, or whether it was trauma or emotional pain, that they weren't able to hold that. But oak, absolutely the right being to hold that. Especially for those that do have Irish, Scottish lineages, or lineages that have suffered from a lot of colonisation. There can be these memories in the system. Maybe it's past lives, maybe it's ancestral, or maybe it's even this lifetime. Ultimately, it actually doesn't matter. When we're working on a quantum level, we actually move beyond the story and work with that particular energetic frequency. And oak brings the light, brings the truth, like the lightning tree, through and cuts through what doesn't serve, and can cut through the pain, so that we can actually clear the body. So there's a lot of also purification of the blood that can happen. And in Chinese medicine, for instance, I would say that the blood carries the mind. And so through our diet, through our patterning through the mind, through the chemicals, the metals that we may be interacting with our environment, if we ingest oak, or even connect with oak on a quantum level, it can purify and clear the blood. And this can also be very helpful for working with maybe there's some stagnation in the blood, in the chi, and also where we may be carrying a lot of ancestral burdening as well, that it can help us to clear that, so we can actually come into the now and come into the upgrade, and allow the upgrade of the frequencies that are in this time and are coming into our bodies, so that essentially we're creating more space in our bodies, in our system, to be able to adapt to the evolutionary changes that are happening on this planet at this time. And that's going to be accelerating over the next years to come. And so it's amazing that we have these trees and these plants around us that can support us in this, and working with that, working with the natural cycles, working with the seasons, we can come into that greater intelligence of timing as well, so that we go beyond the collective system of the Gregorian timing, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, 7 days a week, all of that, that we actually become more informed by nature as we are nature, and to dissolve the pain of separation that we have from source, from nature. That is an illusion, but it's really easier said than whenever we're actually experiencing that pain of separation. That trees such as oak can really bring us such direct line with source, that we can start to repair that within us and come into that unified field within us. And when we're coming from that unified field within us and that connection with Source and our ability to receive these higher frequencies and to receive pure love, then from that place we are far more resourced to handle the changes that are going on in our lives, to handle the changes within us, to handle the changes on this planet at this time, especially in these particularly challenging and stormy times that we're in just now, that we can also then be a benefit to others, and not only just in the human realm but other beings as well, and really start to listen and to tune in to what our true role is as guardians on this planet at this time. And so with that, on a very practical level, I share that through the immersions. So sharing that through, like I mentioned, the meditation practices and directly, as well as sharing through how to create your own flower essence, to create tinctures, to create teas, to create medicinal foods as well. But also more specifically to connect on a quantum level to the qualities that each one of these plants or these trees bring. So for oak, it's a lot about aligning that the true masculine qualities within, so that we are more able to be more solid, more present, more direct within ourselves, as well as being able to be more open to this interbeing connection, which is really vital at this time, so that we can really listen on these different levels and not just from the head and trying to learn knowledge. It's not about that at all. It's more Gnostic, it's more experiential, it's more connecting to our earth wisdom once again, that's what is already within us, as well as that faith, as well as that strength, as well as that courage to stay within the heart and to be informed by the heart into how we make decisions, how we move in life as well, which is really, really vital. No great decision can be made from the head. It's a very limited way. But oak opens us up to the higher consciousness and opens us up to that which is greater. So I mentioned the pure mind, rather than what I would call the earth mind, which is more on the very practical day-to-day level. What gets you up in the morning, what makes you your breakfast, all those things. But it's not a problem, but when we're operating from that place, then it can become a problem. It can become a blockage to us accessing that our higher potential, our being, as well as what's really, really available to us here in this precious human life that we have. And so the next immersion I'll be sharing will be in June with oak, during the time of the summer solstice. So the oak and the oak king are their strongest during this time, and so he came to me and knocked on my door and said, right, it's my time now, which is really beautiful timing, because it'll be just over a year from when I went to Ireland and received the deep teachings with oak through Dieta, after many years of connecting with oak well before that. So it feels like a lot. That's been actually 13 months since that Dieta, which in the Celtic calendar is a full year, and that would usually be the time when it would be ready, it's ripened and ready to share. So that'll be a very, very potent immersion to share with oak. And I'm guided by the plants, by the trees, of who wants to appear when, and I'll only be sharing the immersions once live. They will be available in a different way, recorded, but it's much more potent, of course, live. Well, I'll be sharing live hearth gatherings as well as the transmissions as they're coming through. And I'll be sharing with mugwort in August. And with mugwort, I'll be sharing. Mugwort is a very potent herb for dreaming, for visioning, and for women and the feminine in particular. But over the years, through my own experience, as well as through guidance of a teacher as well, I've been working with dream work for a long time, and so we'll be working with particular dream work practices of bringing from that meditative state into the dream state, and so that we can actually access a lot of our unconscious through that medium. Which means that in our day consciousness, we don't need to work through that so much. Now that comes with all of the plants, all of the trees. They all work with us in the unconscious realms, in the dream state in particular. Mugwort, of course, just has that particular quality to bring that through. So that's why I'm bringing that through then. We're just finishing with hawthorn. Because this is the time that I'm sharing this with you is the month of Beltane, and it's really been a very beautiful transmission that's been coming through with hawthorn of the sacred marriage and the unification of the masculine and the feminine, and connecting in with the earth grid, connecting in with these higher frequency beings as well that are around us. And hawthorn is linked with rose, so is the medicine of love as well. So it's been very, very heart-based, heart-focused, and very. It's such a strong medicine for healing the heart, even from heart attacks, as well as the strongest known herbal medicine for that. And so, yeah, just sharing with you as that comes, and they'll be shared, of course, over time, probably over these next 13 months, as I get called by the trees, by the plants, of which one wants to be shared. But for now, it's oak is the focus at the moment, and I really hope that you feel called to connect with oak and connect with the Celtic wisdom. There's many people that are very, very familiar with plants and trees from all over the world, and that is wonderful. All the indigenous wisdoms are ultimately connected. They always have been. Well before Zoom and Wi-Fi were all around, they were connecting in these different realms long before, and through the mycelium, through the light grid on this earth as well. However, it's often forgotten, and especially because it's an oral tradition as well, particularly the Druidic tradition is an oral tradition. Sharing it in a way that's actually applicable to these times, that people can actually digest and actually bring it into their lives is where my passion really comes through, and connecting people to these ways in alignment with natural law as well, which is something that we speak of very much so with oak in particular, and how to come more into alignment with that, because when we're in alignment with the natural law, everything else takes care of itself in life. And so, yeah, I really wish to share that with you. And thank you very much for joining. And I hope to see you very soon. Much love, and bye for now.